Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm currently in college at the University of Maryland, College Park. I'm just finishing up my third year, so exciting. I'm studying information science and operations management and business analytics. And some other things I do on campus, I'm an ambassador for my InfoSci major. I'm a part of a professional STEM sorority. I founded a new InfoSci club this semester, a bunch of other cool things that I like to do in school.
So you're a geek. That's what I'm hearing. A little bit of a
Pretty
nerd.
much.
Very
Pretty
good.
much.
Well, as Sarah is learning to be a geek, I'm a professional geek. So I've been doing this for over 30 years now. And as Sarah likes to say, that's before I was born. I hope so. I'm technically a subject matter expert at Data Systems Analyst, DSA. We're DoD, Department of Defense contractors for the U.S. Army over in Maryland. It's in the USA, near Aberdeen Proving Ground, if anyone's from that area. I know this is an international conference, so we should have started with saying good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome everyone from everywhere. We really appreciate everyone joining our talk. So what are the takeaways that we want you guys to have from this talk? Three things, right? One is we want to kind of share what TechGirlz is and what we do and why we do it. So not only to share, why do we do it? Not only to share, but also to learn. Learn from the girls, learn from the technologies. The best advice I've ever gotten was the best way to learn something is to teach it, and that's why we do it. The other thing is that it's about the ride, not the destination. And that's a fancy way of saying, don't worry about that one workshop. We've been doing this for since April 2016. So coming up, we just passed the 5-year mark.
Yeah.
Wow. When Sarah was a young sophomore in high school, and we were worried about that very first one, getting everything right. We made mistakes along the way. We'll talk about some of those things that we bumped into. But once we figured out it wasn't about one individual workshop, it's just about, the process of sharing and learning. And it was okay to make mistakes. We really enjoyed and are still enjoying doing it. And that's kind of leading into the final thing is that, you share to inspire these young ladies. Our thought was we would go out and we would help young women become interested and stay interested in STEM, but their excitement, their enthusiasm turned out and inspired us. We were actually, I know Sarah, she's got a different perspective than I do, being sort of newish, doing this 5 years, I'm still calling you newish. But I've been doing this 30 years, so sometimes I get a little tired throughout the day. I got those certain issues, and we would do a TechGirlz workshop, and it just the excitement really perked things up, perked me up. So that's what we want you to get. Learn to share to learn. Don't worry about little things, and get ready to be inspired because it's a lot of fun participating in a program like this. I mentioned, and I'm going to surprise Sarah because I didn't really talk to her about this, but we do have a new thing coming out. Patrick, help me out, Sarah. Perspective.
Patrick Perspective.
Talking about different perspectives that we have. So check us out on YouTube. We haven't released the first one yet. Sarah, when's that coming?
Today is Wednesday. So on this Friday, the first real episode will be out.
Yes, so check out, we have a teaser up there to get everyone excited, but we're going to start sharing our perspective out on YouTube, just talking about, Sarah's perspective versus my perspective on this whole software development journey, software STEM journey that we're on. So we're excited about the new release of our new channel, if that's what we want to call it. All right. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about what TechGirlz is and why it exists.
Sure. So TechGirlz is a nonprofit organization dedicated to creating that spark of interest for young girls to pursue tech. So this is really important to target that middle school age. There are multiple studies done that show that this age is the most crucial to encourage those interests that girls might have, whether that's in any STEM field. And then as they move out into high school, if those interests aren't reinforced, then they will lose interest. And this is due to a lack of role models, lack of mentors, and lack of real life examples of how they would be using tech outside of a school environment. So TechGirlz really wants to encourage that interest by reinforcing all of those things, targeting that middle school age. So they're a really great organization, and the way that they do that is that they have these cool tech shops in a box, which we'll talk about next. Dad, I don't know if you want to go into this a bit more.
Yeah, so when we started this back in 2015, it took us a year to figure out what we wanted to do. My company, DSA, wanted to give back to the community. We wanted to figure out a way to, if there was a problem that needed addressing, and the young ladies not being in STEM was one that we found. My company is, very female oriented. We have a female CEO. We have a president, owner. Or employee owned, but my vice president is a woman. So there was definitely a lot of support and encouragement to go out there and do something for young women in tech. And we discovered this TechGirlz after looking at what Microsoft was doing with DigiGirlz, and we'll talk more about DigiGirlz in a minute. That's Microsoft's sort of similar program. TechGirlz was doing the same thing for folks that just wanted anyone that wanted to help. You didn't have to be a Microsoft person. So we went out and we talked to the TechGirlz folks, and they were like, yeah, we have programs. We have curriculum that you can use. It shows you what activities to perform, warm-up activities. It gives you step-by-step, do this, download this software. Everything's free. And the curriculum from TechGirlz was free. The participation with TechGirlz was free. So we're big with the free because no one's got a lot of money. These tech shop in a box topics were really cool because you could, there's like hundreds of them. You could search through what made sense to you if you already had some experience with something, even though we did choose some that we had no experience in. They were sort of easy to pick up. You had those little, they're rated with difficulty. So each one, like you can code there, is 1 star, so not that difficult. It looks like that one's available in Spanish now. That's our next goal, Sarah. We'll have to do one in a different language, maybe German.
Oh my goodness.
So a lot of folks in this conference are from Germany or that area. I heard one of the talks is there's a whole track in German. Sarah, you've taken German, right?
Well, over 4 years ago.
We'll teach you there later. But yeah, they just really, in fact, I've got the link built into the slides, so when we put the slides up later, and you can just click on some of these slides to see. There's just so many, basic, intermediate, advanced. There's they start off, things like I mentioned, the You Can Code and the web concepts. Game design with Cody was a favorite one that we've done. We'll talk more about that one. But then they get into the more advanced ones, like making a website using HTML and CSS. A lot of them have been updated due to the pandemic. They've gone through and updated the workshop so that they're available virtually. Previously we did these face-to-face, and it was sort of easier because you could just, if someone was having trouble, you'd walk over and tap them on the shoulder. Now we've had to kind of pivot a little bit. Thank goodness for Microsoft Teams to help us with this so that we can do things like breakout rooms and have chat windows and multiple meetings going on at once. It's really empowered us to take the face-to-face meetings and switch them to pure virtual. We're excited to get back to face-to-face, but honestly, I don't think we'll ever go back 100%. I think it's going to be a hybrid situation where even if we do a face-to-face meeting, we're going to allow girls from all over the world to participate in a hybrid fashion, just because it's really opened up. The ability to invite anyone from anywhere has really been a powerful thing. So let me talk a little bit about our team. This is the team back in April 2016, I think, right, Sarah? There you are hiding up in the corner. There's my vice president, Kathleen Kirk. There I am. They put me, they put baby in the corner. You see all the other young ladies that attended. Our chief learning officer, Tracy Schreiner, participated. And we had a bunch of other volunteers, not all women. We have some gentlemen you see in there as well, that helped out that very first one and continue to help out even to this day, just because everyone's so excited about giving back and learning and getting inspired. And Sarah, tell us about that very first TechGirlz workshop, if you can remember that far back.
I know, I can't believe it's been 5 years now. But yeah, so as mentioned, it was really, I guess it would have been March 2016 where my dad's company had developed the idea that they wanted to work with TechGirlz. They just needed now someone to present the idea. And I was a sophomore in high school, still figuring out what my path was career-wise. It was still pretty early on in high school when my dad approached me and was like, hey, we're doing this thing with TechGirlz, you should present. I was like, no, I don't know anything about that stuff. I was going to a STEM high school, by the way, so I was exploring my various interests, but I hadn't really pinpointed anything. So I was like, I don't know about this. And my dad was like, well, you'd be a really great role model, plus I really want you to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I spent that next month preparing, and as mentioned, TechGirlz provides the curriculum, the slide deck, so I was really well prepared with all the contents that they gave me. The first workshop we ran was called creating a website using WordPress. So I explored everything WordPress. I even made my own example website to show the girls, but I couldn't help but still be extremely nervous for multiple reasons. One, I was worried that I was just terrified to do public speaking, even though it was all these like younger girls than me. I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna be a fool in front of them. And then my other big concern was that we were going to a place called the Boys and Girls Club, where most of these kids go to after school. And, they're middle school kids. I thought that maybe, they just had a full day of school. They'd want to like run around, play games, like not listen to me, talk to them, learning something new. I thought it was going to be too much like school or homework, and they were just going to be not interested, period. So I was really worried about that. However, I could not be more wrong. The girls were so into it. They were so excited. They were asking questions beyond what we expected them to, and also topics that they made their websites about that we didn't expect them to. I mentioned this example website. I didn't know what to make it about, trying to relate to these middle school girls. So I made it about cats because, I like cats. Cats are cute. Sure enough, they loved it. But they made theirs about social injustice, starting a company or a business, or just like their passions on cooking or sports, like much more in-depth, like passionate topics. I was like, wow, I made mine about cats. And it was just really, really, really cool. And on top of their questions that were beyond what we expected, they were just so excited about the work that they made and proud of themselves. We would get times where they would raise their hand. I thought they had a question. I would run over. I'm like, oh, what do you need help with? They'd be like, I just want to show off my site. And it was really, I think on the fly, that first workshop, we were like, we should have them present because they're all really excited. So we've been doing that now. They get to present their work and they're always so proud. And that's why it's so inspiring. That first one was really a turning point to get us moving for this past 5 years, because the girls were just so excited and so into it. And that's why we keep doing it.
Yeah, and it's funny. So you mentioned that, if we thought they were going to think it's like homework, because this was an after-school program, and we had to compete with, there was basketball going on, or, pool table. So there was other activities. They didn't have to go to our TechGirlz. And once we did that first one, and they were so excited, it was so well received, they were coming back. Word got out, and someone who was playing basketball during that first one was like, I missed the first one. I want a T-shirt. Because it didn't hurt that we were giving out T-shirts and other freebies. We gave out pizza and cookies. So yeah, we came correct. We were like, listen, we're going to make this is going to be fun. And I think, and like you said, then we started doing other topics, right? We did this one, what's in a computer, where we literally had them open up computers. I was about to say old computers. Well, it didn't start out that way. The first one, we used lab computers that we thought we were going to be able to use the next day. And lesson learned, girls get very enthusiastic about stuff like this, and they took them apart so much that we had a hard time getting them back together.
Yeah.
After that first one, old computers, and once we did that, when we really took the gloves off and said, listen, you can take out whatever you want, and they did. They got the screwdrivers. They were in there elbow deep. They had questions. Hey, can I get electrocuted? We said no, it's unplugged. We discharged capacitors and all that. Hey, this, that. But once the fear was gone, you couldn't stop them. They were literally taking out they wanted to unsolder the CPU from the motherboard. I'm like, well, we don't have soldering irons. If we did, I'm not sure. But they did. They took the fan out. They were just, component level stuff. Super impressed by them. This is one of my favorite workshops. We're still working on how we're going to do this virtually, right? We got to kind of figure out a virtual take apart of the computer. That's one that we're still developing, but I'm actually excited that when we get back face to face to do this one again, because it is such a cool one to do. Speaking of other workshops, one of Sarah's favorite and one of my favorite is game design with Kodu, which I had never heard of before we started getting involved with TechGirlz. Sarah, tell us all about Kodu.
Sure. So as we were again exploring all of the workshops that TechGirlz provides, we wanted to really focus on some that had Microsoft technology, as my dad's company is a Gold Star partner, and we just love Microsoft products. And we came across this one called Kodu, which, as mentioned, we had never heard of before. But that hasn't stopped us in the past of learning something new. And yeah, it's a program provided by Microsoft that allows you to design your own game. So some of our main great points about this is, first, it's free. You do have to download a software, but it's totally free. It's UI driven programming, which I'll explain more in just a minute. It was really easy to learn for us as we were learning it to teach them, and then for the girls to learn as well. It was a great introduction to coding. And then it's a game. It's just meant to be fun. You get to make your own game and then play it. So we were just really excited about this workshop, and still probably my favorite workshop we've done to date. It is so fun. So as mentioned, there is UI-driven programming. So what is that? So from this screenshot here, you see these little blocks, and it has two sections of when and do. And this is the introduction to coding, that you have to be really particular on what you're telling the computer to get the action or result that you want. So from here, you see in our example, that little circle icon is whatever character you chose. Usually it'd be a Kodu, which is that little robot looking guy. And so that first one's saying, oh, if our character sees a tree, that's the when, the do is to move toward it. And those are each different blocks. And there was a whole bunch of blocks. And this really taught the girls that in coding, you have to be really particular on what you're telling the computer. We actually did a little pre-exercise before this.
When we were face to face, right?
Right. Back when we were in person, where we would use my dad and then the room. And he would start in one corner, and we told the girls, oh, you have to tell him how to get to the other corner. And usually they would start with oh, walk forward. And you would walk forward and then run into the wall, run into the wall. The girls would laugh. But then they would quickly realize, oh, we need to tell him, move 10 steps forward and then turn 90 degrees to the left, or very particular steps. So that was the first introduction to this about coding. You have to be very, very careful what you're telling the computer to get the right output. So that's how this was introduced in Kodu, so that they could create their game.
And it was a great way to introduce this kind of concept that computers are very particular. They picked it up really quickly during our activity, where they might tell me, like you said, walk forward. I bang into the wall. Everyone laughed and then said, okay, now walk forward 5 steps. Now 3. Now 1.5. Turn 45 degrees. I was like, whoa, these girls are getting. They went from 0 to 60 pretty quickly on specifics. Mm-hmm. The other thing that was about the Kodu is that they had these immersive world design capability, and we found out that some girls were really into the whole design. They liked the programming, but they really spent a lot of time on the design. And it was like, oh, this is a good. We didn't realize. I'm a programmer. This is not my forte, but some people are, and they love this.
Yeah, this was really important as well. So not only did they get to create their own design of the worlds, but there's some pre-made worlds that they could explore. And that was really important for them to see, oh, this is the sky's the limit. I can add so many things if I wanted to. And even the last time we ran this workshop, we did it virtually. Some of those girls went really above and beyond. Some of them made multiple levels through their game, which I had never explored before. I think they also had 3 players at once. And I was trying to test it. I was like, oh, I'm a single person, but that's a real game. It was really impressive. So Kodu has a lot of things you can do. Oh, and you can also share your own world so that other people in the community can play your world as well.
Right, and that goes back to what we found really important of all these workshops is to do some sort of presentation at the end where they share their world and talk about it, which works well virtually, or present their website. Or I think with the what's in the computer, we did some sort of game at the end to bring everybody together. So it was really important to have sort of that other element. Some other workshops that we worked with, we wanted to incorporate Office 365. And so one of the benefits of working with TechGirlz is they don't care what software you use. When you download one of their plans, it will say, hey, you can get this open source, you can get this software for free, but you can manipulate it and change it and customize it to whatever you want to do. So in this case, I think the newsroom technology was originally based on Google Docs, and we were like, no, we're going to use Office 365. There's some different ways that we can obtain it free for this purpose. We'll talk about what those are. But it really helped us to teach the girls real world skills, using Word and PowerPoint. Again, we thought it was really easy to learn. We had some experience with it. And then Sarah's great idea was, hey, when we have them to do a news story, let's not just make it any old news story. Let's have them write an interview and talk about themselves. And ding, 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 that was a stroke of genius, because the girls were like, oh, this is awesome. Hi, tell me all about you. Hi, tell me all about you. They loved it. I mean, it was just a fantastic, it's, again, one of our more popular ones. So I mentioned, if you're interested in doing something like this, how can you get Office 365 for free? If you're not aware, it's free for education. I got a link up there for the education market. You can always just get, the 30, 60, 90-day trial, whatever the trial is nowadays. If you're a nonprofit, if you're certified nonprofit, there's an option to get 365 for nonprofits. And then my favorite here at the bottom is for developers. And by developer, I don't mean you have to write code. You don't have to be a coder. If you create solutions, it could be no code, low code solutions, you're allowed to join the Microsoft 365 developer program that gives you a free sandbox with an Office 365 tenant. And where'd it go? There it is. I'm already logged in. I'll bring it back over here. It gives you a free developer sandbox. It's good for 90 days, but the catch is every 90 days, as long as you're using it, Microsoft automatically renews it for you. So every 90 days, we've been using one since we started back in April 2016, so 5 years now, and it just gets renewed every 90 days because we've been using it. You can actually load it with sample data, so you don't have sort of that blank slate problem where you're like, well, what am I supposed to be doing this? It gives you sample users, sample intranet sites, sample accounts. It's a really a great resource. And as I mentioned, you just click on that and join, sign up, and so what's this one here? This one is I've got several actually. So this one supposed to expire in August, but I'm sure, this is the one that we used, Sarah, the TechGirlz one. And it's just a really great way to use Office 365 to do not production level stuff, but training. I even use this for exam prep. If I'm prepping for one of the new Microsoft certification exams and I'm trying to say, well, how would this work and how would this work? I can go in here and muck around and not be worried about, doing something in my production tenant, because this is just this is just a fooling around tenant. So really good resources to work with Office 365. Another workshop that we did with Microsoft Technology is Visual Studio. What was the name of this one, Sarah?
Create a website with HTML.
Yes, which is a 2-star one, so a little more difficult. So I let Sarah run some of these because it was more difficult. But we had a real good time with this one because we set a world record back in March of 2019. We got together with like 21 other organizations. I think it was 22 organizations total, and a bunch of girls, over 300 girls were coding. They were writing websites all at the same time. And they talked about it back then called #Codebreakers. We have a little video that I'll show you guys. I don't have the audio, but that's okay. I'll narrate it. So let's just show this video real quick. Basically, this is the excitement that was going on at the time of Codebreakers. So we basically got together and had young ladies from all over. They all were writing websites, not necessarily using the same technologies like we use Visual Studio Code, but they could use whatever integrated development environment that they wanted to use. They, but we were, all doing HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and the fact that we were all doing it at the same time was a certifiable record that we went out and certified. You can see everyone's all excited. We got together. I think back then we were using Zoom. We hadn't quite jumped on that. Sarah, I think I just saw you in a shot there off to the left, but it was a really exciting time. And I don't know, what was the favorite? We did all in conjunction with a local college, Towson University. What was your favorite part of that day, Sarah?
Oh man, I think so. What was really cool is again, right? This was in 2019, so we've been doing that for almost 3 years now. So some of the girls were our usuals, and that we were doing a more advanced topic. So these girls with the more advanced topic, they were just still really into it, and we had more of like a full day to go through these things. Not a full day, but these workshops are usually like 2 hours, and this was maybe 4 or 6. It was more of a longer day. We gave them lunch and things. So having that more time allowed us to dive deeper into the topic. So they were able to make some cool HTML sites. So I think there's definitely an advantage to having some more time to dive into these topics.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because that's a spoiler alert. We're going to talk later about how we've taken some of these workshops now and started combining them into multi-day workshops, and we call them camps, summer camps, winter camps. We'll talk more about that in a second. Future workshops. So when we started this, we planned to have some additional workshops that aren't even in the TechGirlz sort of standard set. In fact, we're working with TechGirlz on developing them and being able to submit them so that they are part of their standard set. But we're working on our Power Apps one, and we also have finished our Teams one. So the Power Apps one was this idea that we would take and use Power Apps to create a game. Again, we like to gamify things. Rory Neary, a fellow MVP, did a nice 10-minute video on how to do this using Power Apps. And so we're going to take his idea and run with it and turn it into, sort of, pre-activities and activity one, different exercises. And once we get that complete, we're going to be able to use the Power Apps community plan to get access to this for free. So if you're not familiar with the Power Apps community plan, it's another great resource from Microsoft to get you started using Power Apps for free. So it's development, not production, but for training, for playing around, for exam preparation. It's really great. You can do all sorts of things like use the out-of-the-box connectors. Basically anyone can sign up for it. There's a few little things. I think data flows, if anyone uses Dataverse, there's a thing called data flows that's not available to the community plan, but very minor, little things, sort of more advanced enterprise level things might not be included. But for the most part, we're able to use the community plan for everything that we need to do. So another great resource from Microsoft to allow us to do some of the things that we want to do with TechGirlz. Now, the Teams workshop that we built and have released, we built it back when we were still face-to-face. And then just about a month or two later, we went virtual. So it was very timely that we were teaching girls how to use Teams and how to collaborate virtually. And then now we have to do that. We were able to make use of this demo that Microsoft put out there that allows you to show Teams off inside of Teams, which is not an easy thing to do. And Sarah, you're going to give us a little taste of that. Is that correct?
Yes, so let me get my screen sharing so we can go over this demo. It's a really great demo. See here. All right, let me move this here. All right, we see my screen okay?
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, we would use this Teams demo to show the girls how to get started in Teams, but I would recommend this demo for anyone, whether you're getting started in Teams or even if you've already been using Teams, because it goes over a lot of different details and tools that you can use. And it's also always being updated. That's really my favorite part of this demo, as Teams itself is getting updated with new changes. Because this is by Microsoft, they will update this demo as well. So even as we've showed this demo over the past year-ish now, there's been updates done to it. So we can get started with this Teams Basics demo. It takes 5 minutes to complete, and we get to choose our experience. So right now I'm on my desktop, so we can choose that, but you should definitely check out the mobile one as well. So this whole demo is like a simulation, so you get to actually click on the different icons to help you walk through it, and then they'll do some typing for you to make it really feel like you're using Teams. So first it talks about the navigation bar on the very left. First we have activities for our notifications. Chat, so that's for our smaller chats with one-on-one or groups, our actual teams, the calendar if there's events scheduled on that, calls, and files. So let's look at our Teams tab. It talks about what a team is, a collection of people, content, and tools based on a specific project or group. So you can make a team for your entire organization. You can make a team for a specific group in your organization working on a special project, or other things like that. So let's look at joining or creating a team. Our first option is to create your own team where you can add people for whatever project or thing that you're working on. You can join a team with a code. So this is usually for a private team that's given to created, and there's a code that's given out to invite people to that team. And then here's an example of a public team you could join, and then an example of a private one that you've already joined. So not just anyone can join that team, you have to be invited. So let's look at creating our team. You can build it from scratch, so just adding each person manually, or you can create from an existing Office 365 group, whether that's on SharePoint or something else. You can look at that and those people will be automatically added to that team. So let's create from that. And looking here, we have something called Northwind Traders, just an example that we can make our team from. So let's do that. I'm going to give my team a name. That's pretty easy in the text field. We can give a description, set that privacy, and then also set the different tools and apps to include. Now let's start adding some of our members. We can put those in and click add, and then I can change them from owner to member. So that changes the permissions of that specific user to have more or less based on what you chose. Looking here is that private team. So again, as I mentioned before, only invited users can join that. And then a public team would be more discoverable for anyone to join. So let's look at that specific team we just created and look at those settings. I'm going to click on the ellipses here, and we see a whole variety of things. We're going to look under Manage Team to get those settings. I really like this view because we can see all of our members as well as these owners, and you can change them again over here on the right-hand side. And this is also where you can look at some more advanced settings if needed under this Settings tab. So now let's look at the channels within each team. So channels are for those more specific topics, designated areas within your team. So all of them default have a general channel for usually everyone will be in for any general announcements, but then you'll have some more specific topics that organizes what's being talked about. So let's look at the marketing channel. The first tab here will be posts, so whatever conversations we are having about marketing. Looking at the left side again here at another channel, there are private channels as well. So not everyone in the team has to be a part of each channel. So you have to be part of that channel to see what conversations are going on. So maybe an example I like to use, I'm currently organizing something for my graduating seniors for my work. So I made a private channel for all the non-seniors to talk about what's going on there because we don't want our seniors to know, ruin the surprise. So something like that you would make a private channel for. So I just talked about having these big conversations within each channel. And what I really love that Teams does is that you have threaded conversations. So this is huge for organizing what's being talked about. We can see our main points of conversation under the marketing channel being partner planning and then welcoming a new employee. And then if you want to reply to a specific message, you would do the reply that's right here to talk about which one you're referring to instead of being a jumble of things. Can you imagine if you had partner planning and then welcome Nestor, and underneath welcome Nestor, you still need to talk about partner planning? Don't have to worry about that. It will be all still under partner planning if you do the reply here. So I just opened up that conversation so I can see all of the messages related to the partner planning main message. So again, organizing that information through these threaded conversations. So now I'm going to respond to this, and I can use @mentions to specifically notify whoever I am talking to, and they'll get a notification on their end of Teams under that activity that I @mentioned them. So I'm @mentioning Diego right now, asking him to ping me when the results are ready. I'm going to click on this check mark to complete that post, and now Diego on his end has gotten a ping that I sent a message for him. Diego pinged me back, and on my end, not only does my name highlight in red, but on the right-hand side, I see a red @ symbol. So it's a really easy way to scroll through your posts tab and see where you might have been mentioned throughout those conversations.
Sarah, I think Diego's not speaking English. I don't recognize that.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know Spanish either. So that's a really great tool that Teams can combat. So I don't speak Spanish, so Teams can translate that for me. So I click on the ellipsis, translate, and now it's in English, so I can understand it. Isn't that crazy that Teams can do that? So if you're working with people internationally that don't speak the same language as you, Teams can translate that. So now I know that Diego is thanking me, that the results are ready, and let him know if he has any other questions. Great collaboration, right? So under partner planning, there was pinned some of these files. So you can directly add files through a conversation. It'll be uploaded to Teams. So that's where I can click on these and then view them and collaborate. So adding them to Teams gives collaboration access to everyone in that channel. And then if it's a public channel, everyone in the team. These will be shared under the Files tab. So if you add it in a conversation, it'll automatically be uploaded here, but you can also just upload through here. You don't have to do it through a conversation if not needed. So either way works. As I briefly mentioned in the beginning, we have this Chats tab for smaller groups or one-on-one conversations. So these are for if you don't need a whole team to be made, just those smaller conversations, that's what the Chats tab is for. So we have a couple examples on the side here. The very bottom is my one-on-one conversation with Megan, and then the one above is a small group conversation about Project Wildlife discussion. I can easily make a new chat with this writing icon up here, and then type whoever I'm going to be sending my message to. So I'm going to be messaging Emily. I compose my message down here, thanking her for connecting me with the designer. I have other rich text editing options if I want to add bold, italicize, underline, any of that good stuff. And then I'll send my message. And then let's look at one of those group chats. So I actually renamed this group chat instead of listing all of our names. This gives an idea of what we're talking about or purpose of our conversation for that chat. Oh, and I really love this feature. We can pop out conversations, so you can multitask. So if you're collaborating a document together, this is a great way to get side by side the conversation we're having and then that document we're working on. So I'll pop that out. And then if I had a document next to me, I could split screen and easily see both at the same time. So that is the Teams Basics demo, really helpful. You see there's actually more that we're not going to get into today, but I recommend that you check out Chats and Meetings, Teams Tips and Tricks, and then of course the mobile version for Teams Basics. So highly recommend checking out this demo, and this is a great introduction that we use for the collaborations with Teams TechGirlz workshop that we designed.
Yeah, and I mean, we can't overstate that. This tool really helped us to be able to show people how to use Teams without having to sort of do a team window inside of a team window, which you can do. There's ways to have one browser versus the app, but this just made it super easy. In addition, new features are automatically baked in. So like that pop-up chat was not something that when we first started doing this, that wasn't there because it wasn't a feature. The translate wasn't there because it wasn't a feature. So it's been kept up to date. So there, I've got the link up there for those who didn't see it in this meeting's chat window, teamsdemo.office.com. Great for what we do with TechGirlz. Great for in training your team. If you're a Teams champion with your organization and you're trying to show other people how to use Teams, send them this link, have them walk through it. It's just a phenomenal resource and another great resource from Microsoft. So we got a few minutes left. Let's talk about some of the things that we've been doing since the pandemic hit. We've been working with other workshops. We have creating a website with WordPress. We turned that into a camp, a 2-day. That was part of a camp. We combined that one with the news story one, with what was the third one we added, Sarah?
We did infographics.
Infographics. So girls could really start with making a website using WordPress, creating posts, pages, adding different media. Some of the media, an infographic that they created, setting up the menus, the widgets, and all that other stuff. But this was I think we did this as a summer camp, and it became like a 3-day, because they were off school. We had lots of time. We met around lunchtime every time. Huge success, phenomenal. We had 40 girls, 40, 50 girls in that one. That was ridiculously popular. Where we used to do face to face, we had a limit of 15 young ladies. So then we did it again, and this time we did a 2-day winter camp over the holiday break. And what was that winter camp? Was that
was Kodu.
That was Kodu, right. So we expect, because one of the issues, again, we learn as we go, is that girls always wanted more time with Kodu. They wanted more time to design the world. They wanted more time to work on the game. So we did a 2-day Kodu camp. Again, phenomenal success. We're going to have to repeat that one. And then recently, we collaborated with TechGirlz from Microsoft and did a TechGirlz Delaware Day, where we did, what was our topics? Oh, we did an
encryption.
An intro to encryption. So where we talked about how and we actually had several activities where they, manually took a plain text, encrypted it, and then we gave them encrypted text, and they decrypted it back to plain. And again, that one I wasn't sure about, Sarah. That one I thought they'd be like, oh my God, this is boring. But again, phenomenal. The reception was phenomenal.
Right. Yeah. No, that was the first time we did that one virtually. So I was nervous how that was going to go off, but they were definitely still into it. We're always surprised.
Yeah. And if you want more information about TechGirlz, so this is Microsoft's version of TechGirlz. I like how before they were first, and I was like, now. But basically, it's what they do. But there are events out there that you can look into. So if you go to search TechGirlz events, it looks like they've got one coming up in August. A TechGirlz camp out of Texas. Is that what I'm seeing there? And then one for the UK, TechGirlz UK. So really exciting stuff. We were really excited that TechGirlz Delaware wanted us to participate. So you don't have to be. It doesn't. When you're looking at volunteering and helping out, there's lots of organizations. There's TechGirlz, TechGirlz, Girls That Code, Kids Can Program. Just tons more to get excited about. If you want to get started with TechGirlz, go to techgirlswithaz.org/volunteer, and you can click here to see some of the volunteer opportunities that are available. We're always looking for people to lead workshops, to organize workshops, or just to get started, you can be a teaching assistant where you can just kind of, help out in that way. And I think that's a good advice to get started, right, Sarah? When we bring new folks on board to our program, we say, look, just kind of be a teaching assistant. You can answer questions in the chat. You don't have to present. And then after they've seen it once or twice, if they want to step into that presentation role, we kind of ease them into it. We think that's sort of a good thing. So we're out of time, but we appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully you're excited about helping out other young ladies and getting involved and inspiring to learn and all that stuff. Check us out. If you have questions after, we have a few minutes for questions now, but if you have questions afterwards, you can tweet either one of us. Sarah on Twitter's at Sarah E. Patrick, and I'm at David E. Patrick. So we really appreciate it. Paul, do we have any questions out there in the chat?
None come in so far, but if you do have questions, please do post them in the chat now before Sarah and David go. Oh, we've got one from Kathy. Okay, so she's put in, doing great work. There are some great ideas and resources that I haven't ever heard of, which is exciting. I took loads of notes. Teams demo site is new to me, as were Kodu, Visual Studio Code, Power Apps community, with the sandbox. And then she's put, can you share the newsroom story production workshop link stroke info again?
Sure, absolutely. So if you want any of those, any of the TechGirlz information, again, just go to techgirlz.org, and then you click on the workshops, which will take you to the topics link, and then that's where they're all kind of summarized. Now, when you want to download them and get that information, they do make you register. There's a little bit of an onboarding process with TechGirlz where they do like a webinar, a 1-hour webinar, sort of train the trainer, and then once you do that, you'll get access to the different topics. So it's that way it's just not anybody jumping in and doing anything. So once you come in here, you'll get your little account. See if I remember mine off the top of my head. And then you'll have, oh no, I got to figure out, I've got it saved in my other browser, but basically Yeah, just go here, sign up, click on the volunteer to get started. That's where you can actually sign up. And then when you actually do, if you sign up to volunteer at an event, they do a background check. I should have mentioned that. So there is, just because you're going to be working with young ladies, so they do a quick background check to make sure that, everyone's copacetic. But yeah, techgirlz.org, click on workshop plans, and that'll take you to all the available ones. So not just the newsroom, but you can code, mobile apps, Kodu. And there's more coming. So it's really exciting that this free resources that they make available, really, really great stuff.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you very much, guys. I don't think we've got any more questions. Kathy's replied saying perfect, thank you, very cool. Someone else saying this is great. So thank you very much, David and Sarah, for another great session. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Paul.
Have a good one.
Brilliant.